let's get started. I'll just start talking a little bit about some things I'm sure you're going to want to ask. You could have follow-ups and things along those lines. First off, we had just getting back from the Final Four now. Did get the opportunity to join Walker and his family at a very special awards ceremony, the Naismith Awards. Beth Bass received a sort of a lifetime achievement award for what she's done for women's basketball. Jim Nantz on the men's side, and then the National Coach of the Year, the National Player of the Year, and the Defensive Player of the Year. So there are really only 5 awards given, and it was a very strong room. And Walker Kessler and his family were in that room, which is quite an accomplishment. Really, really happy for Walker. Upon winning the award, Walker and I visited a little bit after the ceremony, and where he told me that, he thanked me and told me that he was going to go into the draft, and obviously was very grateful for the opportunity at Auburn. And I think it was hard for Walker, because I think he was very torn about coming back or going in. But he's projected to be a late first-round pick right now, and maybe he can work his way up through workouts and interviews. But he's put himself in a good spot, and so therefore he and his family made that decision to go. With Jabari, next week he'll receive, I think it's the U.S. Basketball Writers Association Freshman of the Year. I don't know that there is any other national Freshman of the Year award that's out there, but it's incredible, because we deal with it all the time, and I don't even mind saying it, because I'll say it. If you're a top 25 high school prospect and you've signed with Auburn, let's say you're ranked 25th, and you are ranked 25th and you sign with one of the blue blood programs in our country, you got a better chance of being a McDonald's All-American going there than you do Auburn. That's just always been the case, and I don't think that's ever going to change. But one thing has changed, and that is the recognition that both Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith have gotten at a national level was absolutely out of reach for Auburn basketball. It was just out of reach. And then this year, take Jabari Smith. The 2 other freshmen that Jabari is constantly compared to, as far as who's going to go 1, 2, or 3, is Chet Holmgren at Gonzaga and Pablo Banchero at Duke. Those 2 guys both had fantastic years, and they had them at Gonzaga and Duke. But it was still Jabari Smith at Auburn that was right up there with those guys all year long, receiving the attention, the accolades, and the awards. Don't think it's an accident that College Game Day came to Auburn. They didn't come to Auburn for Bruce Pearl. College Game Day came to Auburn for Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler and the Auburn Tigers and the jungle and that home court advantage. And those things just don't happen without Jabari and Walker. We don't win an SEC championship in a year where it was really hard to win a championship because there were so many really good teams. I'm going to dispel the rumor that the SEC was overrated during the course of the season. That's just not right. It's wrong. We demonstrated that throughout the year. I'll use Kentucky as an example. Kentucky beat North Carolina by how many? And won at Kansas in like February by how many? Was it February or late January? Whenever the Big 12 SEC Challenge is. And I say that with North Carolina and Kansas playing in the national championship game, that's just a fact. We won the Big 12 SEC Challenge. I think we should have gotten more than the 6 teams in, but we didn't, but we got 6 teams in. Why didn't we advance in the NCAA tournament? They partly due to matchups. I think partly due to the grind of the SEC this year. I'm not offering excuses. There's no excuses here. I just talk about answering question and explanations as to we have to ask the question, why was Arkansas the only team that got to the Elite Eight when there were probably 3 or 4 teams, including Auburn, that could have, but didn't? I can say for us, the grind of being in that SEC regular season and trying to win that championship was grueling. And the only 3 games we lost was a court storm in Arkansas, court storm in Florida, and Tennessee. At Arkansas, we had a lead in regulation. A couple things didn't go our way at the end of the game, and we lose. And then we go to Florida. We got the ball to win it late. So an overtime game, and we got the ball late to win it. And then we go to Tennessee. We're down 3 with about a minute to go. They've got the ball. I mean, we're right there to go 15-3 in an amazing regular season run. I do think it wore us out. I do think we never got a huge second wind that I know we got in 19 after we finished 5th in the regular season and won our last 4 regular season games, got hot in the tournament, got hot at the end, and made our run. This team was very special. We had the best front line in college basketball, and between Jalen Williams and Jabari Smith, Walker Kessler, and Dylan Carwell, that was the best front line in college basketball. And we took full advantage of them. I just really proud of our guys for what they did during the course of the regular season. Let's see, Jabari made his announcement yesterday. It's funny. Jabari felt it necessarily, just like Walker did, but Jabari felt it necessary to come in and see me and tell me he was made that decision. I thought it's just what he does. Like everything he does the right way. Like, do you think Jabari really needed to come in and tell me he was going to be eligible for the draft? That's a foregone conclusion. But he felt it was the right thing to do and wanted to know what I thought about it. And so for Jabari to stay home, his family was just wonderful, as was Walker's, to work with, throughout the year. And just tell Coach Pearl, I'm on with the media. Can I call you back?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Just the whole story about playing at Sandy Creek High School, just appreciating how we recruited him from at a very early age, and really grateful for the opportunity, and I think Walker the same way, to stay home, to come home in Walker's case and stay home in Jabari's case, and have a chance to realize their goals and dreams of being in the NBA and win a championship. And that's the biggest thing we've tried to do with this program is I couldn't look Jared Harper and Bryce Brown in the eye when I recruited them and say, you can come to Auburn, you can get to the NBA and win championships. Because we hadn't yet. And all those guys over the last 5 years have been able to come here, stay home, win championships, and go play professionally, get their degrees. That's the foundation we built, and now we've got to try to rebuild. When you lose 2 great players like Walker and Jabari, and it's obviously going to be challenging, but that's the beauty of what we're doing. We got one really good piece. Actually, is Johan, is he committed but not signed? So I can't talk about him. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I won't talk any further about that. But we're rebuilding. Devin Cambridge, I'm very happy for Devin. Devin was very loyal to our program. Devin just found himself in a position where everybody was coming back, and what was going to change for Devin. I think he wanted a more significant role. So I appreciate Devin. I appreciate the 3 years that he was here, and I understand his decision. I believe if it's best for the student athletes, it's what's best. And I think this very well could. I hope it turns out well for him, that he gets a bigger role at his next stop, which appears Arizona State with his brother. So I hope that works out really well for him.
All right.
Questions?
Question from Tom Green.
Yeah, Bruce, with those draft decisions from Jabari and Walker and Devin transferring, obviously still got a couple roster spots available for scholarships. I guess, what do you feel the biggest needs that you hope to address between now and then?
Well, I think the biggest thing is on the front line. How can we complement Stretch, Dylan, and Jalen? That's number one. How can we complement those three returning players? I expect Jalen Williams to have a dominant role next year. And he's ready. He took one for the team this year, and he competed with Jabari, but Jabari was the best player on the floor every single night. And so, I think that was obvious to everybody. And so I have two scholarships available. Let's just say I got one more available on the front line. It's got to be people that will complement those three returning players. And we've actually passed on some pretty good players that we just didn't feel like complemented them. I can't get it deeper. I'm not trying to work my way around it, but there are just rules. I can't comment on one of the guys that's committed to us, and I can't comment on guys that we're recruiting, but that's really important to me. We've got some really good, solid returners, and Dylan to me is I think he is a really, really good NBA prospect. Like, I think that Dylan, because of his size, because of his ability to move, his hands, I think he'll take another step next year, another big step. So, but if you're out there and you're looking at what happened to Walker and Jabari in a year, Auburn's a pretty attractive situation because, both Jabari and Walker made a lot of progress this year. And that's certainly something that is good to be able to recruit to. We've got to improve our shooting. I think that's definitely an issue for us. If we shot the ball better, we would have gone much farther in the tournament. Overall, as a team, we defended well. I thought we played pretty hard. I thought we shared okay. But we shot it like shit. So that's something that's got to improve.
All right. Question from JG.
Yeah, that was a pretty straightforward assessment there, BP. Looking back on the Miami game, do you look at that as kind of a situation where it was just a buzzsaw and you were running into a very hot team, or do you look back on it and say, hey, there's some things I could have changed that maybe affected that outcome?
Yeah, great question. I think both Texas A&M and Miami both proved to be buzzsaws. You could certainly make a very strong case that we weren't playing our best basketball at the end. There's no doubt about it. And at some point during the season, whether it was the Oklahoma, Alabama, Kentucky, on the road at a couple of places where we were playing great basketball, if this team did peak then, did it peak too soon, or did it peak in time to be able to win those games? And then you don't win those games if they don't peak, and then you find yourself in a different situation. I think because we had such a challenging non-conference schedule, I think because we knew how good UAB was, and I know this sounds crazy. I'll take it all the way back to early November. Like for 3 or 4 weeks, we knew we're going to go up to UAB in a scrimmage, and those guys are good enough to beat us. And nobody wanted that. And then we knew what we were looking at in the Bahamas with, UConn and Michigan State and Loyola and Baylor on the other side, Syracuse. Okay, this team had to get better in a hurry, and it did. So I think we worked so hard to get good enough early to win. Yeah, that I would say we wound up peaking sometime at the end of January, early February. And going back to your question, though, and I do think you guys, by and large, I don't read all of you. I just don't have time. But I think by and large, you guys got a pretty good handle on this team. You criticized us when we deserved to be criticized, but you didn't kill us. Because, like, if you killed us after the Texas A&M game, you don't look bad because Texas A&M was good. And I think I told you that. I think you trust me and said, no, they're good. And they were hot, and their guards were really good. And certainly there were some things there we would have done different. Okay, then we get into Miami, and, same thing. I mean, Miami was up whatever they were at halftime over Kansas. They were good. They were good. They have 4 24-year-olds. In the Miami game specifically, I think what I would have done offensively is somehow figured out a way. They started really well. They started pretty hot in a lot of games. And I would have tried to think of a figured out a way to look, we just got to hang in there early and not turn the sucker over. Not that I didn't tell the team the number one thing we got to do is take care of the basketball, but I might have done some things with some of our offense and our play calls and our pace to just kind of hang in there early. But it was obviously Miami did some things to disrupt us with their ball screen defense and turning us over a little bit. And for the first time all season, Jabari and Walker had off nights, and it just wasn't. We weren't good enough. I wasn't good enough to overcome that.
All right, John Zener.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce. I don't know if you're looking for that last hole with the transfer portal or anything, but how much of a game changer is that for teams that maybe have holes to fill, guys leaving in the draft, that they have holes coming up in April, and for teams like you did, you guys had that quick turnaround from a 13 and 14 season?
Well, I think the transfer portal was a really good thing for us last year. And we'll have to take it year to year. I think it could overall could be a really good thing. Look, if it's good for the student athletes, it's good for college basketball, college athletics. I don't like the fact that 3.5 players per team are in the portal. I'd rather teach them to fight than flee. But it's okay. It's okay. I transferred several times in my career from Boston College to Stanford to the University of Iowa to Southern Indiana to Milwaukee to Tennessee to Auburn. And those transfers were really good things, and for me and for my family. And so the portal was great to us last year because we had some guys leave and some guys come in, and we helped ourselves on both ends.
All right, Mark Murphy.
Bruce, how physically and mentally ready are Jabari and Walker for playing the NBA?
Well, I'm not an NBA coach, so I can't, I've never coached at the NBA, but I think they're both ready. Jabari will go in as the best jump shooting big in college basketball in the last 10 years. He demonstrated he could guard 1 through 5, and he's tough, and he's mentally tough too, and he's confident, and he did it on a big stage. He's not afraid of the moment. He'll get stronger as he gets older. He's 18 years old. How ready is an 18-year-old to play in the NBA is really the question. Just wait till he's 19. Just wait till he's 20, and his body begins to just normally mature and develop. He's the first NBA All-Star that I've had. Tobias Harris was close, and Ike Okoro maybe could get there. But anyways, he's an NBA All-Star. Walker Kessler is going to jump in there, and defensively, he's going to be able to play with anybody. He's going to be able to move his feet. He's going to be a problem for those guards. He's going to protect the rim. He's going to be able to extend on a perimeter. Defensively, he's absolutely going to belong. He's going to run the floor. He will shoot better in the NBA than he did in college. If Walker had come back, he'd have shot 35 from three and 75 from the free throw line. And I don't think there's any reason why he can't do those things at the next level. Yes, he's going to need to improve on his low post game, but there's not much of a low post game in the NBA, you know. And while Walker can play more physically, he's tough. He's a tough kid, and you can't be that size and take as much pounding as he took without being tough. You know, neither one of those guys dished out the physicality because neither one of them at their size and their age are overly physical, but they're tough, and that'll go a long way.
All right, Carrie Osip.
Hey, Coach, apologize. No camera on this end, but thanks for taking the time today. I wanted to ask just about the fact of college basketball, how it's changed into this world, as you mentioned, with the transfer portal and then, you know, guys leaving after 1 year. It's something you've had to adapt to. And I want to know, with the difficulties of that, how have you adapted? You want to develop these young guys, but you also want to build a chemistry with the team. And I can understand that's challenging year to year with recruiting. So how have you adapted to that? And then also, how difficult is it to bring in guys and know that you may only get them for a year? And how do you deal with that kind of emotionally as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's tough. It is, because I do connect, and it is emotional. And you know, it's hard to say goodbye, and you invest so much into them. But you know what? We've got to return our investment. And it's my job to help them get ready for what's next. That's what I'm here for. To help them. That's what we do on staff here at Auburn, whether the faculty is doing it and preparing them in the classroom, or the staff is doing it to prepare them in other ways. And I think we're doing it well. And we're sending them out of here better than we found them when they got here. And but then you got to kind of, rebuild. And you know, for me, if 3 or 4 of the last 5 years, with the exception of the COVID year, have been some of the best years in Auburn basketball history. And I'm very, very proud of the fact that we've managed to do it, and been competitive for the last 5 years with very different rosters. And we're facing that challenge right now. But where there is that challenge, there is opportunity. It's opportunity for the returning players to grow, and it's an opportunity for the new guys to come in and have impact.
All right, one last question from Doug Holton.
Yeah, Coach, kind of playing off of that question. Obviously, everybody's happy for Jabari and Walker and the opportunity that they're getting. But on the flip side, you feel also that they're missing out on some of the best times that they could experience. Do you wish that the NBA would address that, or do you think that is possible or necessary?
No, I understand our fans being disappointed that they can't enjoy those guys for another year. And obviously, everybody loves to win. Everybody loves championships. But I don't think it's necessary for the NBA to create you got to stay for 2 years. I don't know exactly, I think in whatever job you're in, let's say CBS Sports or ESPN comes calling, and there's a real opportunity for you next year, but you're locked into 2 years where you are right now. And you got to say, well, no, CBS, thanks, but I'm locked into this thing for another year. It's a great country, and it's called freedom. And we can debate all day long about the pros and cons, but I think that we ought to be really, really grateful for the guys that were here, the time they were here, the way they worked and trained and grinded. Many of you guys came and saw them practice. You know how dedicated those kids were. They're no less dedicated because they decided to make a decision to to try to live their dream. And so no, I think it's okay. Look, these are the rules. Let's all play by them.
Talking a little trash on the field? Yeah, we get it. Trashing the state with litter? That's terrible. Keep it clean,